the little boys take them.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they're the waiters.
We're ready to go? Okay. We can talk to her all night if you want.
We're live in Blythe, California.
Are we live?
Day 11. Sean was just talking to his girlfriend.
Not his wife.
You're not live.
Not his wife. No.
Not my wife.
We are live.
He said it. You heard it here first.
Yeah. George is on the phone checking Tinder. He's swiping right.
I just wanted to figure out where we actually were.
We're making it fun
All right, you
tonight.
ready?
Huh? Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. We're gonna
Okay, guys, here we are in Blythe, California. The last full day stop in California, which we're really excited about because we get to move into another state. We'll actually be longer in Arizona than we were in California. But today, we've talked about everything that really happened since this morning. Our live feed was down for quite a few miles, and Sean, our main core runner today, was the only one on the ground that we knew of that was going to help, and he's been kind of gimping along, but managed to eke out 17 miles today, 17, and thanks to the cooperation and volunteerism of our two able-bodied videographers.
/ runners now.
Today they decided they were going to run, and they thought the mission was as important in terms of running as it was in terms of capturing. And so we appreciate that. So between the two of you each ran 16 miles apiece or something?
10.
13 miles apiece.
13 miles apiece. And those miles, I mean, this morning, everybody is watching. I was ready to just run a missing runner mile, every 4 or 5 miles, just to take a runner off, take a body off the street so that we had, the physical capability of making it through. And these three guys just picked it up and just killed it. So that's just amazing. That means that every hero today that was called out loud was represented by someone running that mile. And there's just nothing more important than that. So I really can't say thank you enough to these guys for making it happen. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get a couple more to add into the mix, and then we'll grow from there. So 139 names we read throughout the day for 47 miles, and as is our tradition every day, regardless of whether we're outside the hotel in the parking lot or inside with a room full of people, we will reread the names at the end of each day. So we know that these names were read at least twice in a day. So maybe the family didn't get to hear it this morning in a live feed as we were going, but they'll get to hear their loved one's name called again tonight. And so we're here at American Legion Post 24 in Blythe. I think I might have said that. But there really isn't anybody here but our crew. And Teddy can just show around the room. And so, you can see who's here. It's a small room. There's no one here. They fed us a nice meal tonight, which was awesome. And I'd like to thank Jose here. Jose was our host tonight and made the meal. And I think, was that your family, Jose? Was that your family?
Yes.
And his family, served and prepared, and we really appreciate that. You're live to the world right now. We're videotaping, and so we're so appreciative. After a long day of, just running, these guys ran for about 10 hours today. Just these three, they ran 47 miles total. And so that's a lot of running for 3 people. So they each ran a half marathon or more. And so we're so appreciative to be able to come and just relax for a moment and not have to expend any more energy, and just to be able to feel welcome, by somebody who understands what our mission is.
And we're happy to support.
So we thank you and appreciate you. I'm sorry we didn't get to meet the commander. I understand there was a few this evening, and so we're sorry to hear that. I don't know if you want to stay with us or not, but every night we read the names of all of the service members who died that we ran for today, mile after mile. Tonight we have 139 names that we read today throughout the day, since early this morning when we started. Where did we start? Actually, we started here. We had to drive outside of town, and then we ran back today. So we're getting ready to read names. You 3 guys gonna read? Who's gonna read?
We're all 3 of us.
We'll all read.
All three of us are runners today, right?
If you want to stay and join us as we read, I can take the camera too.
Okay.
Thank you. We're doing it this way. So you guys want us to go over there and read?
Come on, runners. Yeah. We're all runners today, right?
So go ahead.
No, I didn't run.
Sergeant Antonio Michelle King, United States Army. Sergeant Ralph Zamore, United States Army. Captain Andrew Donahue Muse, United States Marine Corps. Commander Michael Todd Norman, United States Navy. Senior Airman Bryant Chan, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Christopher Charles Drinkwine, United States Marine Corps. Captain James Robert Gillen, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Lance Larlo Klitzo, United States Marine Corps. Major Curtis Clinton Deppner, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Christopher Lee Eubanks, United States Army. Private First Class Denise Naomi Bing, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Scott Brandon Butler, United States Air Force. Petty Officer First Class Larry Russell Holst, United States Navy. Private Kevin Wayne Nunn, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Thomas Andrew Petrie, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Chad M. Jones, United States Air Force. As you were. Sergeant First Class Petrie was United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jones is United States Air Force. Senior Airman Robert Isaac Smalley, United States Air Force. Airman First Class Timothy Patrick McIntyre Jr., United States Air Force. Airman First Class Crystal Dawn Thomas, United States Air Force. Sergeant Jeremiah Allen Woobin, United States Army. Petty Officer Third Class David Edward White, United States Navy. Major James Arthur Dursey, United States Air Force. Sergeant Daniel Elton Shaw, United States Marine Corps. Brigadier General Bruce Harris Barlow, United States Air Force. As you were, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Armin Luis Petrosanti, United States Army. Private First Class Roger David Riley, United States Army. Fireman Bradley Stephen Estes II, United States Navy. Specialist Michael Anthony Slag, United States Army. Specialist Lashinka Darnell Brady, United States Army. Lance Corporal Dennis Michael Budwig, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Third Class Nicholas Allen Bockrath, United States Navy. Sergeant Samuel Joseph Creekmore, United States Army. Private Renigal Earl Liddell, United States Army. Airman Vincent Richard Bloresi II, United States Air Force. Private First Class Latoya Nicole Dye, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander William Patrick Story, United States Navy. Specialist Antonio DeQuan Sharp, United States Army. Master Sergeant Joseph Thomas Butler, United States Air Force. Tech Sergeant Dale Thomas Forey Jr., United States Air Force. Airman First Class David Allen Waddell, United States Air Force.
Staff Sergeant Dwight Kenneth Lewis, United States Army. Senior Airman Casey Jewel Smith, United States Air Force. Cadet 4th Class Kyle Thomas Wagner, United States Air Force. Private First Class Jack Warren Cornell III, United States Army. Private First Class Nicholas Gerald Nick, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Bryant Keith Gooch, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Ivory Christopher Downing, United States Army. Chief Petty Officer Leroy William Young, United States Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Dennis Urban Austin III, United States Army. Specialist Hans Palomares, United States Army. Sergeant Jeffrey Tyrone Sellers, United States Army. Master Sergeant Luther Wendell Smith, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Schuyler Tremaine Clinkscales, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Vincent Roy Wilrich, United States Army. Sergeant Owen Francis McGinnis, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Anthony Wayne Schlenker, United States Navy. Private First Class Michael Patrick Quinn, United States Army. Captain David Charles Sarter, United States Army. First Lieutenant John Nelson Wilt, United States Marine Corps. Ensign James Thomas Logan, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander William Robert Mashaw, United States Navy. Lieutenant Christopher Todd Starkweather, United States Navy. Petty Officer First Class Roberto Ramasortes, United States Navy. Chief Petty Officer Scott Matthew Dennison, United States Navy. Johnny Lee Johnson Jr., Airman First Class Johnny Lee Johnson Jr., United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Michael Thomas Wortham Jr., United States Air Force. Constructionman Joseph John Podlowski, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Tremaine Lee Murphy, United States Army. Corporal Nicholas James Halverson, United States Marine Corps. Second Lieutenant Robert Joseph Stokes III, United States Army. Captain Wanda Faye Leonard, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Tracy Richard Tallada, United States Navy. Specialist Kevin George Polite, United States Army. Corporal Joel Edward Cushi, United States Navy, or United States Marine Corps. Captain Stephen Clark Biram Jr., United States Navy. Private Second Class Gerardo Medina Chavez, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Tracy Lamar Davis, United States Army. Petty Officer Third Class Theo Lee Thomas II, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander James Edgar Cazier, United States Navy. Airman Eric Anthony Knudsen, United States Air Force. Fireman Jesse Lee Nixon, United States Navy. Seaman Justin Matthew Gifford, United States Navy. Sergeant Jessica Marie Dietz, United States Army. Senior Airman Aaron Jude Flory, United States Air Force. First Lieutenant Corey DeJuan Norman, United States Army. Sergeant Gene Arden Vance Jr., United States Army. Specialist First Class, Sergeant First Class Jason Scott Tabor, United States Army. Specialist Blanca Estela Gonzalez, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Christopher Todd Millwood, United States Navy.
Staff Sergeant Mark Anthony Iriarte, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Kevin Taft Thompson, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Timotheus Latroy Stamper, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Sidney Arthur Davis Jr., United States Army. Master Sergeant Darren Alexi Nelson, United States Air Force. Airman First Class Stephen Wayne Fortune, United States Air Force. Petty Officer Third Class Jonathan Stephen Chambers, United States Navy. Specialist Edwin Salgado Jr., United States Army. Captain Andrew Franklin Clements, United States Army. Petty Officer Third Class Mariah Ann Barton, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Dennis Troy Mills, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Joshua Paul Gruca, United States Marine Corps. Senior Master Sergeant J.G. Hamilton, United States Air Force. Petty Officer Second Class Charles Gavin Barger, United States Navy. Specialist Chanavia Taranda Kenny, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Jennings Stevenson Bratton Jr., United States Navy. Private First Class William Bedford Rowell, United States Army. Colonel Ralph Joseph Perry, United States Army. Private First Class Chad Ryan Bowman, United States Army. Sergeant Scott Bradley Holden, United States Army. Master Sergeant Thomas Palmer, United States Air Force. Captain Sonia Sanchez Minor, United States Army. Specialist Robert Anthony Hartman, United States Army. Private Chad Allen Hennessy, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Rayo Glenn Erickson, United States Air Force. Sergeant Robert Joseph Desert, United States Army. Private Brandon Britt Patel, United States Army. Lance Corporal David Robert Gregory, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Sean Christopher Maitland, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Sean Philip Lindsay, United States Army. Sergeant First Class David William Avila, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Robert Joseph Hewlin Sr., United States Army. Master Sergeant Howard Eugene Hinkle, United States Army. Private Peter James Aldrich, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Mark Raymond Nucky, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Edward Allen Leonard, United States Navy. Specialist Ronald Wayne Olson, United States Army. Master Sergeant Llewellyn Mathlin, United States Army. Lance Corporal Carlos Delatorre Jr., United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Matthew Reed Little Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Kevin Keone Macabeo Barnachia, United States Army. Specialist Edison Shellum Wingate III, United States Army. Private First Class Sarah Lynn Case, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Robert Lee Hodo, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Travis Myron Evans, United States Marine Corps. Airman First Class Patrick Ramsey Samuel, United States Air Force. Sergeant Daryl Myers, United States Army. Specialist Shanita Louise Pollard, United States Army. Fireman Apprentice Joshua Allen Dietrich, United States Navy. Sergeant Major Howard Charles Smith Jr., United States Army. Specialist Jacob Harvell Douglas, United States Army. Private Frederick Leon Mays Jr., United States Army. Private Petty Officer Second Class Keon Anthony Askew, United States Navy.
So that was 139 names that were read each mile today. And then looking over the date range of those names, every one of those. George? I'm George, but in looking over every one of those names and their dates, those 139 names died between April 9th and June 10th of 2002. Every one of those names were within a few months. That's pretty significant, I would say. I would say one of the things that we offer the opportunity is that we read the names of who we ran for today based on a date range that we were running across the country. But whenever we stop, at a post or with veterans, sometimes veterans know friends or family that may have been lost in any generation, at any time period. So, do you know of a name of somebody that you knew or you know of that you would like to say their name out loud?
Yes. Sergeant Joe Rivera, U.S. Army. He was a member here and passed away about a year ago.
Thank you. So we just conclude our name readings just by a moment of silence. And then we'll just do that now.
Yeah, I will. All right, we'll wait on it. All right, thanks very much.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
Amen. Thank you for the opportunity again, Jose, for us to come and share your home and give us a chance to take a breath and get nourished. Amazing food, really appreciate that. And, post 24 will be in a warm place in our heart as we start traveling east towards Virginia.
We're happy to be able to assist.
Thank you. Thank you for taking your time and being a part of our day. God bless you.
God bless you guys too.
Can we help you clean up?